Okay.
Yay!
We're back. We're back. Hi, everyone. It's Conversations with Debbie and Dana, and we are talking spirituality, and this is our second talk on spirituality.
It sure is.
So, if you haven't watched our first one, that was the time just before this one, and we talked about what our history in growing up was and where we came from and where we are now.
Yes, we did.
So we thought this time we would talk about just where we're at with our spirituality now.
And how we decided to shift out of conventional religion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think even though we had we had this kind of the same reason. Does that make sense? A little bit of the same reason of why we decided to go outside of organized religion. That's how I would like to say it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because we both have done that.
Yep.
And we both are out of it now. And we both learned a lot from our experiences being in that traditional Christian church upbringing.
Yep.
And we're learning a lot more and being more of ourselves
100%.
in being able to step out of that and following what our feeling is that we're being led to live our truth and our best life with.
Our inner, if you want to call it voice, calling, whatever you want to call that. That's how I, definitely.
So do you have a story or anything?
I got stories.
Put you on the spot. We love Dana's story.
Well, we were talking earlier about, before we started recording, about different experiences we had in our churches. And one of the things that I remember from the church that we all went to as a family was, and I was in probably freshman in high school, freshman or sophomore. So young. I was still young and I was still curious about stuff. And whoever was in charge, I don't know if it was the pastor or a committee or whatever, but they decided that when the families were tithing, they would have a thermometer in the sanctuary, where everybody held service, to show where everybody was at.
So it wasn't one church thermometer with a goal.
Each family had their own thermometer, and then that little red was going up as people gave their tithe, and they were supposed to reach the goal. Because every year you're supposed to say, I will give X amount of dollars this year to the church. Well, I grew up, we were poor, and my dad went to medical school until I was a sophomore in high school. So 5 kids. He would go to school 1 year and then work a year, go to school 1 year, then work a year. I know. As an adult now, I think, oh my God, how did he do it? I only had 2 kids. But that was the most embarrassing thing for me. It was not talked about at home, but for me, I was like, this didn't seem very Christian, very nice to show someone was failing on that, and we were failing on the money scale.
I would want to sneak in and have a crayon and color it.
I just didn't want to go.
Okay.
I just didn't want to go anymore. I was like,
I would have had to gone to confession then too.
Yes, yeah, we didn't have confession. Man, if I had to go to confession, I'd be in trouble. I wouldn't be here today. But yeah, so that was at an earlier age, I think, when I started to question organized religion. And then after my sister died, I started getting, was weird. I was pregnant with my second child. I was living in Colorado at the time. My family was here in Minnesota, and she was the baby of the family. I was, I think, 7 months pregnant with my daughter when she died. And I got home and I started getting these really creepy, weird letters from people I didn't know that were church reference, like that was religious reference, but said, I can't even get into what they said, but they were trying to, I called my dad right. I was like, who is this person? Why are they? And he's like, when there's a death in the family, everybody's vulnerable, and this is how they suck people in to, what their thoughts are. So that was number 2. I thought, okay, I don't want to be a part of that. But what really kicked it off for me was actually in the last 5 years, and how I think, this is just my personal belief, that they have politicized religion, and organized religion is, in some areas of our nation, is trying to control the whole nation. And I taking the rights away from women, taking bizarre questions about your children, and taking rights away from the gays and the LGBTQ community, and all of that combined, I just kind of started doing a stepping back. Like, okay, I can't be a part of this anymore. And I've lost friends over it, because and that shouldn't be. Church is supposed to be embracing
and community,
and I don't feel that for me, organized religion isn't doing that for me anymore.
It doesn't align with what your values and your truths are.
No. If I'm going to believe, and this is going to sound weird, if I'm going to believe in God, I'm going to believe in a loving God. I'm going to believe in a God that that encourages you to be who you are. I just don't think that everyone says, oh, God doesn't make mistakes. And I believe that, but then there's no mistakes. You know what I mean? If you're gay, you're gay. If there's no mistakes, why are some snakes born with 2 heads, or a cow with 2 heads, or you know what I mean? I believe in love instead of a fearful. There's enough fear out there. I have a healthy fear of a lot of things, but I don't want to be afraid of, if you want to call it, God. And I reference that because I'm still in a state of fluctuating my beliefs. Let's just end it at that. I'm still going through that process at 67 years old.
Well, and thank goodness you are. I mean,
yes.
that means that you're open to thinking things in a different way, and listening and having conversations, and when you were sharing about you're stepping back, and it's like, if we're all made in the image and likeness of God, and God doesn't make mistakes, then every color is a part of the image of God.
Yes.
Every way that we're put on this earth is an image and likeness of God. And some of us were plunked here in the United States, some of us were plunked in Israel, some of us were we're planted all over the world, and we all have a part of humanity that we are immersed in with those traditions and practices. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong. It means that they're different from what we know and what we're used to. And, I think of Native Americans and being here on the land that they had first.
Yep.
And their honoring of Mother Earth and Father Sky, and their rituals, even now in giving tobacco, if they're taking something from nature, they're giving back in tobacco, thanks for whatever that they're taking, and being so filled with gratitude.
Yes.
And so
and embracing nature, just nature. To me, my church is water. I was just telling you that earlier. Water. When I'm visiting my aunt in California, I will plunk my chair right on the beach, and I could spend 8 hours just staring at the marvelous ocean, the strength, and yet peaceful. And then I love to watch the surfers too. But it's just, we live on a lake as well, and when we're out, I can specifically speak to one night. We were out about midnight, and this was years and years ago, because there's no night fishing anymore where we are. But there was no lights to interfere with the
Mm.
the stars and the Milky Way and that's church. That to me was just church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And nobody was trying to shove it down my throat.
Or making you think a certain way
Yeah,
about
or
it.
feeling guilty for
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Guilt is a big one. I feel guilty about enough stuff I don't need to feel guilty about. And that's been my part of my journey is trying to shed the guilt of not buying into the organized religion. It's not about not believing in God, it's about not believing in organized religion.
And
For me,
and your
for me.
fear of going to hell because
Yes.
of ...
Yes.
and the non-traditional ways that you are honoring your spiritual walk
yes.
is not a bad thing.
But it takes a while to get out
Yeah.
of that
Mhm.
headset. I was telling you earlier that when my grandmother died, I took care of her last few weeks of life, and I one night was telling her it was I please forgive me for getting emotional, but she was one of my safe people. And I didn't want her to go. I didn't want her to go. She was my safe person. And I knew it was time. She had cancer and she was in a lot of pain. So I had to tell her it was okay to leave.
But she was afraid.
She was terrified. She was terrified because of the guilt of that was the church that the minister had run away with all the money, and she did not go back to church after that. And I know there was a guilt of that, and there was also a guilt because her family had become estranged after when they had placed her mother into a nursing home, and there was squabbles between there were things that she thought, is this going to get me into hell instead of heaven? I know that's what was going through her mind, and that broke my heart. It broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
It just broke my heart because yeah, she was a strong woman and yada yada yada, but she was also a very spiritual woman outside of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And to watch that on a deathbed was very hard. Very, very hard.
Mm-hmm. And my belief is that as soon as she crossed that veil and went from the earth piece and the human body piece of her and her spirit soul crossed over, I think she was probably filled with so much joy and so amazed and just all the good things. I really do. I
do too. And I don't know about you guys, but I've also have felt her presence in certain situations. I'm getting goosebumps. She's probably right here right now.
Yeah.
But which is another form of spirituality. To know that I can, and I do. I'll some days have a bad day, and I'll go, "Why aren't you here?" and I feel comforted by that.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually felt, but I have felt a hand on my shoulder. I felt the physical hand on my shoulder, so which is very comforting.
Mm-hmm.
Little jolting, but comforting. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And those are gifts, I think, too. One, you're open to the idea.
Yes.
And I've even had clients whose pets have passed over. And it's like, do you, they just, yes, they're there. You just have to be open to the idea that they are with you. And then one client had gotten a hold of me a few days later and said, oh my gosh, she was on my lap. I could feel her on my leg, and then she was on my lap, and it was just like, it's not your imagination. Yeah. These are parts of what spirituality and part of faith combined with that.
Yes.
If you're putting something out and you're putting it out with the belief that yes, I believe this, and see what happens.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It really is.
Mm-hmm. And I think for me, a big part was after I had gotten my massage therapy schooling and certifications and all the things, I had was very, when I was in class and she had said, okay, this whole next segment is on chakras. And I just shut down because it was like one Catholic chakras, Hindu, Sanskrit, all of those things. No, I'm not going to get into any of that. But they were talking about the energy centers in the body. That's what chakras are. And for a number of years, I'd been feeling blockages in clients and then working and then being able to clear. And I thought, I wonder, and I think that was just spirit coming through, intuition, angel on my shoulder, however you want to say, look into chakras again. And it was like, oh my gosh, all of the explanation in working with the energy, in using my pendulum to see what is opened and closed in the body, and being able to talk to someone about what's going on in your life regarding, your you're not speaking your truth, or is there something you're not saying, and having tears come, and how do you know that? And it's just the energy is closed. And so let's see what we can do to bring that awareness to you and open it up. Well, the Catholic Church was very clear in not wanting to have anything to do with that. And Reiki, and to me, Reiki is, the word is universal energy, and Catholic, the word is universal. Catholic is universal. And to me, it's such a beautiful partnership.
Oh, yes.
And working with our bodies and helping us to grow spiritually. So to me, it was just a beautiful way of being able to recognize and to help my clients have more clarity in their path and being mentally, emotionally, and spiritually stronger.
Yes.
And I wasn't able to do that. So, like I had mentioned in the previous video, if I wasn't going to play by the rules of the game, then I felt it was best for me to step back and honor where I felt God was leading me in my path.
Right.
And my mom struggled so much with me. I mean, I was doing meditation classes and and she just really struggled with me not being the daughter that she wished she had. And I did the best I could. And
I think you're pretty damn good just the
well,
way you are.
What's really cool though is after she had passed and I was working with a client, and my mom, she ended up being right behind me, right behind my right shoulder. And it was just like, Mom, and I'm working. And it's like, I'm working. What are you doing here? Honestly. And she said, I understand. And she said, just listen to what she has to say when you're done with the session. And I just went, okay, Mom. And then she was gone. And I just think about it, and she's still right here. It's like she's listening to all of this. So then afterwards, the client had said, there was something going on in my session. And so I shared with her, and I said, what was it that you were seeing or feeling during your session? And she said, I just had because she was a young mom, and she said, I just had my beautiful baby, and I was holding her and hugging her in my heart, holding her to my heart and hugging. And that's what my mom wanted me to know. And that's the message I got from my client. And so those are, I just get teary-eyed thinking about it. But she gets it now. And Mom was able to have that young woman. And Mom loved working with young women. Mom worked on, she started Birthright. She worked with natural family planning. She really was an advocate for young moms and mothers. And so for her to use this young mom as a messenger for me was pretty cool.
Perfect. Spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really was.
I have kind of a similar story with
Goody.
when you say that she was behind you. My dad and I were not on good terms before. I hadn't seen him for 10 years, and he got um, terminally ill with cancer. And I'm very close to his sister. I'm still close. She's still alive. And she's the one I went for her. My dad requested that I come to the hospital, and I didn't want to go. But Mary really wanted me to go. And so I went. And it I'm not going to go into a lot of detail other than the fact that my family is complicated. And there was some estrangement between siblings, and one of my siblings did not want to be in the same room with me. She was upset about some other stuff, um, and so I was there every day for like a week and a half. And the day before he died, another sibling had come in, and his blood pressure went through the roof. She had energy that was angry, and we had a beautiful, peaceful day, my brother and I, with my dad. And all of a sudden she walked in and she grabbed my dad's hand, and his blood pressure, I mean, the alarms were going off.
Wow.
It went off so high. And I knew right then I had to leave. I had to leave because this was not good for him. And so I went to him and said, I'm going to leave. I just wanted to let you know that I'm leaving. And I didn't want to get into another argument with him. So I just kind of left it at that. And he passed away the next day. And I think it was a day and a half after he died, I got a message from my daughter's friend from college. Okay. I knew Amber, but we were not close. I think I'd met her twice. And she messaged me and said, I had a dream last night. And in the dream, a man I didn't know, had never met, came to me and asked me if I knew you. And I started to, oh crap, what not? And I said, okay. And she said, I told him I did. And he said, will you please tell Dana thank you and that I love her?
Oh.
That was my dad. It was totally my dad.
Using another person.
That's why I said,
yeah,
very,
exactly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And she had never met him. She didn't, I don't even know if she knew he had passed recently. So yeah, that's spirituality in my book.
Mm-hmm.
That's the connection of human beings.
Right. And that soul connection, because we're all one. We have that oneness of all of us, yep, because of the spirit within us is part of God, the universe, yes, all. So what impacts one impacts us all, the butterfly, yes, effect kind of thing too. Yeah.
And don't be afraid of that connection. Just because it's coming from a different source doesn't need to be scary.
Right.
It doesn't need to be scary.
It feels good. You felt good. You were happy. Or were you?
I wasn't scared. I'm not going to say happy, because we did not have the best relationship, but I was at peace. I was at peace. And I knew that he was not in pain anymore. I knew that definitely was in a better place. And he also solidified the other side, yeah, of Earth, which
just that veil that's just, yes, not very,
yes,
it's getting thinner and thinner too, yes, as time goes on, which, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Because I remember my mom too. I had done a psychic reading. I went to someone over the phone, and I said, I'm just open to whatever you're picking up. And I always surround myself with a circle of protection, and I always have.
Explain what that is.
What a circle, you just center yourself, and you take some breaths, and you open your heart, and you let God and the universe, and you ask them to protect you with light and love, so that no other energy, dark energy that isn't for your highest good, to come through. It's very,
Yeah.
it's just that simple, but it's very mindful and purposeful. So I did all that before I got on the phone with her, and she said, well, don't talk. I'm just going to talk. If you have questions, ask me later. And she said, okay, oh, whoa, there's a woman here. And she goes, wow, strong personality. And I said, I knew who it was. And she said, oh, it's your mom. And I said, yep, it is. And she said, she just has one thing to tell you. She said she doesn't want you to worry so much. You have worried so much. And she said she worried so much in her life. And looking at it now from where she's at, she just didn't need to do all that worrying. It didn't do any good at all. And it just caused her so much more stress and anxiety. And she really doesn't want you to worry so much. And it was just, what a gift to be able to have that insight, which makes perfect sense and was very reassuring. And I say, she and I have a better relationship now than we did when she was here, because she gets me now. And
she gets you, and she also has answers to her fears.
Yes.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
The universe is, well, first of all, we're like this compared to the universe. We have to remember that. But I also think that we're also like this because we should be like this and enveloping others and having the empathy. And go ahead.
Because we are all connected.
Yes.
And so that is so powerful. And when we can, on purpose, and that's my thing with the gals that I work with, is to on purpose send light and love.
Yes.
You can do it directly to a certain situation, or you can just trust with that divine light and knowing it's going exactly where it needs to go, and you're just the conduit to get it out there. It makes a difference. And every little light makes a brighter light, and with light there can't be darkness.
Yes.
And what we need so much to do in this time in the world and in our day and week is to be very much mindful of what light we can bring to the world to dispel the darkness.
Yes. 100% yes.
So.
And not to be afraid to be a voice for the lightness. Don't be afraid. If you have someone in your life that right now is scared of going out in public because they may not have been born in the United States, be their light. Be vocal for them. Be a safe place for them. There's nothing like a safe place.
Well, and I think too, even with abuse issues, if and it doesn't have to be physical, it can be sexual, it can be mental. Abuse is abuse, and if you can let that person know that you're available to be a safe space for them, that's important too. And if they can't, like Dana said, can't have that voice because of concern for their own personal safety, you can be that voice that, even if it's just between the two of you, that she or they know that they're not alone.
Yes.
And
none of us are alone. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
We're all in this together. That's the one thing, especially in today's world, that people have forgotten. And when I say this, I mean this as a world, global. I'm not just talking about in our state. I'm not just talking about in the United States. We are the world. We are the connection. And if you've never had the chance or the privilege, I should say, because I feel very privileged to have gone overseas, they're just like us. They're just like us. They have, it's so we need to spread the love is my point,
Mm-hmm.
because we're
And
all,
and it's amazing how loving, because when I was in Nepal, and that's a third world country, how little people can have and be so full of joy and love.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. When I went there, I was like an old person. They saw me as being very much an elderly person, and oh ma'am, and get me a chair. And they were just, because I was old in there. I mean, 65 was their age because of pollution and all kinds of things.
that was their average age.
Yeah,
Wow. Is it still like that?
It's not much better.
Okay.
I think it might be a little bit better.
Wow.
And
I
there's
didn't
so
know.
much going on in every part of the world now.
Yes.
There's so much going on. But realizing that it doesn't matter what color you are, what nationality you are, what religion you are, what, if you're a guy, a gal, a bi, a whatever, we're all incredible people, and we all are deserving of love. We all can be love for somebody else. And I think that there's rich and there's poor, and you do what you can to support each other
Yes.
and love each other. And that's what I think the spirituality piece of it is so much for both of us.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
is that we just are wanting to love, and there's love and there's fear, and so let's go with the love
Yes.
and do whatever we can. And that vibration, our body humming when we are doing and being loving and compassionate and full of empathy and all the good things, our bodies are literally humming in vibration, and that is going into the world in a good way. So,
Yeah, I can't speak for you, but I can speak for myself. When I've been so angry at something, I can feel it. I can feel it from my tummy all the way up to my neck. It's not a good feeling. And this will be another topic for another day, but that's when I learned about forgiveness because it literally was eating me from the inside out. And as soon as I learned to let go and be at peace with that, it literally left my body. So love, definitely.
the higher thing. But I do want to mention before we close out with anger, because there is anger. I mean, life is real, and we are living in,
And it's okay.
and anger, it's what we do with it, how we use that anger to energize us. If we didn't have that feeling, okay, it's driving it, there's something that's triggering, there's something that is propelling us to do something. And so the encouragement for you is to do it in a way that's healthy and for your highest good, but also for the highest good of all. There's things that you can do, that you can use that anger for a greater good, that is compassionate and supportive, and can use your voice and get things out that need to be out. But there's a measure of the highest good for all.
Yes.
Also.
And it's okay to scream. I know that sounds weird.
No, it's true.
But for me, I have to be, like I said before, I'm a little loud. I have to release that anger energy before I can calm down to think about the greater love. I'm human.
Yeah.
I'm
well,
human.
and we have to honor our emotions.
Yes.
Because our emotions, if we suppress them, it will make us sick.
Yep.
But there are healthy ways of doing that.
Yep.
And crying is a great way of releasing too.
Yes. I wish more men were raised that it was okay to cry, because it is such a good release of energy. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Are we done?
I think we're done. All right.
Have a great week, and we will see you
When we
hopefully
see
soon.
you, yes. And we appreciate your comments.
Please.
And if you have a suggestion for another part of the topic, we appreciate it. And we just are glad that you're here. And if you want to share this with someone else, that would be great too. But
And please, please, please remember you are not alone. This is a really hard time in our country right now. You're not alone, and reach out to someone if you need to. But
Yeah.
what it could be either one of us, or it could be a good friend, whatever. Just you're not alone. You're
Mhm.
not alone in any of this.
Mhm.
And everybody else is feeling this what are we going to do energy as well.
Yeah, yeah. And the best thing we can do is to love first. We have to love ourselves
Yes.
so that our energy isn't depleted, and then that can be going out to help others.
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about, and we're glad that you're here and listening, and take care, and until next time.
Have a great week.
Yes, bye.
Bye.